Welcome to the Fandom Outpost, your podcast for all things pop culture.
Hey everyone, welcome back. We are the Fandom Outpost. As always, I'm 1/3 your host. My name is Mark.
I'm Jim.
And I'm Bob. Hi everybody, welcome to the show. And if you like this episode, check out some of our others and maybe you'll feel apt to subscribe. We'd really appreciate that. Check us out and join the conversation on Instagram or Facebook. We'd really like to come in contact with what you have to say about our episode and anything else dealing with all the fun stuff we talk about. So with that, we're going to get into our topic this week. Who wants to take the lead on this one? Jim?
All right.
Jim brought it up, so let's go. He's going to shame us all, so let's go for it.
So it was, to be sure.
No, we're joking, but yeah.
Yeah. It was a topic that just came about organically as I was cleaning here in the studio, and I ran across a box of at least 20 unwatched physical media, DVDs and Blu-rays.
I think he's going to shame himself.
Yeah, so I was calling this episode, I was calling it the stack of shame. I'm totally outing myself on this. As I'm finding myself looking at all these things, and the night before I was scrolling Black Friday deals for more. So, which I have no business doing.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, we're recording this on the weekend of Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to mention that. Yeah, we're bombarded by a million deals.
And some of that stuff you have to hop on right away or it's gone forever.
That's the trick, isn't it? To try to weed out what is the prime things you need to get now and then pass on the others, right?
Yeah, and for physical media, that's what's brutal because, say for guys like us or for other deeper collectors, you're going into certain websites that you normally don't shop on a daily basis, like your Amazons or your Target really doesn't do. Maybe your Walmarts or something.
It narrows
like
down to about one.
Yeah, you know. So I mean, you're going into stuff from like overseas and things like that, where
your Kino Lorber, your Severin, your Vinegar Syndrome.
Vinegar Syndrome, right?
Right. So this is our first Black Friday where physical media isn't part of the ads for your box store. I can't walk into any box store and look at all these. Oh, it's a blowout promo DVD or Blu-ray.
These
something.
are $5.
Does Walmart did Walmart even do it? And I didn't go into a Walmart. Did they?
I did go into one, and there was a pittance of physical media.
Oh,
so
sad.
Those big bins with all those DVDs, those are long gone. They don't exist anymore.
I saw them recently, but not coming up to this point. I saw them maybe months ago, where they were just their DVD, the $5 ones and stuff like that.
Right.
So. Is physical media going the way of vinyl records of the 90s? Do we think? Where you're going to be just a few releases here and there that are special and. You're not going to see them in the record store anymore, and
for collectors only.
Right. It seems to be where it's heading.
I don't even know how to contemplate that because, there's got to be a catch. Like there's got to be a give or take. So, if we don't see them in physical media anymore, then who gets it? Is it the streaming services? So who puts out? Like if 20th Century Fox puts out a film, does it go to the Disney streaming service because Fox's own, you know what I mean? So it doesn't come to your brick and mortar, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like how does that work for the future then?
Yeah, where are those studios making their money?
Right, who's making the money and where, right?
Right, because the majority of them, there's only been 3 exceptions right now. There's been that Oppenheimer, Barbie, and then for the most part, Wicked, and then maybe a little bit down from that, Gladiator 2. So those are the only guys that I can actually think about that have turned these, really strong profits, bringing people into the theater. But after that, is it still, we only going to keep it out there for, a month? And then it comes to streaming or something like that? Or,
It's funny that the new release movies are have advertisements for the physical media release like before the movie's barely out at the theater now. It's
Right.
like pre-order, Wicked. It's
Yeah,
like,
absolutely ran across
Right.
that this
it's
weekend.
crazy.
But that's the thing. So who do you pre-order that from? Amazon is still a major seller. You can always order from them. I do see stuff on Walmart. So I don't. Walmart's the really tricky one because are they going to be are they going to, how do they balance that is what I'm saying. Because they
Well, when
still
you're-
do pre-orders, but you walk into the store and you're like, okay.
You have to remember, ordering from Walmart, you're also ordering from a third party. You
Yeah.
could be ordering from a third party
Could be
person
ordering from it. You're
that's
right.
using Walmart like an Amazon and selling their
Well,
product.
let's steer it back to your stack of shame.
Yeah,
All
sorry.
right, so my stack of shame includes things I bought last Christmas, and it's sitting here unwatched.
It's terrible.
I have gems in there like Hammer's Abominable Snowman, which is a great movie. A gift a friend gave me, The Silent Mysterious Island. I bought and was really excited for, and I will watch it this Christmas because it's a movie I saw at Christmas time. Is the Shout Factory King Kong that has from the 70s that has the TV edit, which is longer. But then I have oddball stuff that's, I picked up in the $5 bin, like this movie you guys have never heard of, starring Sam Elliott. It's called The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then the Bigfoot.
When you watch it, you gotta let me know. I see the advertisements for that quite a bit, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. And we know,
I got one that's still in the package.
oh my god!
Let's see what this one is. Oh, it's my Steelbook Taxi Driver that I haven't watched yet.
but on some of those, right, some of that stack of shame, if it's a movie that I've already seen and I purchased it because I want to watch, maybe like all the special extras on it, I can kind of get to that when I get to it. But if it's something that I've never seen, I should be watching it. I mean, I'll literally pass up that film on Tubi because I'll go, oh no, I have the DVD, I should watch that.
Right,
on
I don't want to
DVD.
burn
So
out
I
on it
watch
before I see it.
Right, before I watch it on Tubi.
I've done that with Body Double. I'm like, I really want to watch Body Double. It just came out. I'm like, should I just watch it on streaming? And I'm like, I got to hold off because I want to see it fresh on the 4K. And
I feel like I'm cheating on myself if I'm watching it on Tubi and I own it and I haven't watched it, right?
well, it's a matter of time, right? It's like you only have so much
It is a matter
time.
of time. It is a matter of time. And I had a busy year with my daughter graduating high school and moving to college.
Yeah.
So I am now finding myself with that extra time. I've got a couple hours before my wife gets home from work, and I could easily fill a slot in there. I was just catching up on some streaming content that I hadn't seen before.
That's
so,
that is the. I gotta jump in here.
She's not a
That
fan
is-
of the Hitler Bigfoot movie?
she could be.
Yeah, she could be. But that is the struggle right there, folks. When you're presented with this block of time and you're like, here's the list of 300 things. Like,
Yeah.
what do I insert in that block of time? Oh, my God. That is brutal.
You just find yourself, you go down a Tubi rabbit hole and you're just scrolling and scrolling. And then I just ate up an hour of that time I could have watched something, right? So,
Yeah. And you might as well just grab the one you just bought that you haven't
and
watched.
all this stuff,
and you could have solved it.
I'm not gonna foist on my wife, things like The Return of Shandu, which is, or other. How about this one?
That's where you draw the line.
Right, I'm sure
Oh, my God.
I respect her that she doesn't want to watch Mobo, the Missouri Monster,
Oh, my God.
This list
Or
is
the-
I
endless.
remember Momo.
or
Holy crap.
the entire, complete collection of Boris Karloff as Mr. Wong Detective. So she's not going to want to watch that. So
Oh, my God.
yeah, it's a thing of time. So
And how much desire you have to watch it yourself? I
right,
guess is
am
the
I in
next
that?
thing.
Am I in that groove for it? that day. Some of that stuff is like I have to be in the mood for it.
Well, let me ask you a question, Jim. So if you find a block of time, is your block of time away from like do you have more than one TV? So do you have like your I was about to say your safe space? Like do you have your own little space that you would go and so the rest of the family wouldn't have to be
Wouldn't have to watch it. No, absolutely.
Okay. I was just curious.
I do have one. There is one at my workstation down in the basement that I can play things on. But as I was explaining to you, 2004 was a watershed year for me that I crawled from the primordial ooze and shed my vestigial tail and entered the world of 4K. So now I have a bigger system to watch it on. So that now I can pick up a 4K. So
right. But do you have to, like, if somebody comes home, are you watching that in the main room and you're like, it's only got an hour left, honey?
I'll be,
like that.
If it's, in my household, if it's football, I'll let my wife go to football.
Oh, yeah. Disclaimer.
She's a huge sports fan. So,
oh my God.
And that's, and that's just out of respect. So,
right.
Because I can stop a movie. A football game is, a live event.
I get that. Bob, you have you're in your room right now where you would watch your movies at. So if you have time, you just go to there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you don't. You wouldn't
wife
have
and
that
I
conflict.
we're on the same schedule pretty much for free time and just in the evenings of the weekdays, and it's like I don't see her all day, so it's like it's nice to spend time together, and we like to share maybe a series on Netflix or something. So I end up spending a few nights doing that, and it's like
absolutely.
So I got to really pick that time when I know maybe she wants to watch something I don't care for, and that way I could kind of scurry off to the TV room and the 4K setup, but I kind of try to keep the 4K is kind of almost like going to the movies. How I look at it, it's kind of like a little bit of a special. Like I want to not be looking at my phone. I want to not be bugged for an hour and a half or whatever, and I just kind of want to like experience it almost like a theater with the lights out or whatever.
Presentation's big.
But there's only so much time to do that,
especially with one that. Like my example is I haven't cracked open Arnold that I just got recently with Raw Deal, and I've seen the movie a million times, but like I haven't opened it yet. Like it's like I'm gonna open that when I want to watch it. You know what I mean? So it's not like I couldn't open it and just that's cool and look at that and stuff. But like that's that presentation that you're talking about. I don't want to open it up until I'm ready.
Right, so you're ready. Right, so when conditions are optimal for your enjoyment. Right. I saw this quote, and it was attributed to books, and I can't remember who the quote came from, but it applies to all of our media, films or music or, again, books. It was, when we buy a book, we think that what we are buying is the time to enjoy the book. Like you're buying a piece of time,
right? When
you buy that book. So I mangled that quote, but it's something of that nature.
Right. It's a devotion to that time and effort.
Right. I'm buying this thinking that I'm going to have that time in the future to watch Frankenstein Jr. and the Impossibles, or Nightwing, or The Hound of the Baskervilles, which my wife would enjoy with Peter Cushing.
Yeah, that's a good one.
With who?
Which
version
Peter
is that?
Cushing. It's Peter Cushing.
Okay.
So,
no Basil Rathbone on that one?
No, those are in another stack.
I know they are.
Are some of those on the wrapper still, I noticed, or no?
Oh, Bob. Yeah. Do you want me to count how many are in the wrapper?
No, I have a few in the wrapper, too. It's pretty sad.
Well, I understand that. I understand, because the sentence we just made. So keeping in the wrapper until you're ready to actually watch it is that's kind of like a presentation thing,
It's a gift for you.
Yeah.
That you can watch the complete series of SWAT.
Oh, man, you better pass that along to me, brother. I don't even have that one. I love that show.
Right, but you're not going to sit and watch all of them.
I won't.
It's funny, in my head, I had this idea of maybe like I get all these TV shows and then watch them episodically, like throughout the week. Like watch, oh, Tuesday is SWAT. Wednesday is the Rockford Files.
Oh, right.
Kojak is Kojak's on Thursday.
Well, the problem is for collectors, this I would love to put out there. I would love to have anybody comment on this. Everybody's got a shelf, some bigger than others, Bob. So, like, we have all this media. So we're only talking about something that's like an event. We're not even talking about revisiting stuff because otherwise it's just shelf space. You're just taking up, and mine is in a place where I sit. So I'm looking at it all the time. So like Arnold was facing, like every day he was taunting me. And finally I was like, I just got to put it away until I'm ready. You know what I mean? Because it really was. It gave me anxiety. I'm like, I got to crack that thing. I really want to watch it. But I didn't have the time, especially, coming in the holidays and stuff. But how does that go for rewatchability? Like something you haven't seen in a long time. You know what I mean? How do you even squeak that in compared to all the stuff that's backed up? Like that's a whole nother problem right there, and it's for those who have a collection, or want to watch stuff again. Because if you just want to watch, then just be a streamer. Like, no problem with that.
Yeah, there's no problem with that at all.
Yeah, but if you're a collector, you're like, okay, I got that because, like, for me, 90% of the time it's commentaries. That's what's getting me out into that. I love a good commentary. And on the rarefied occasion, you can find, like, a really good one with a star. Like, like if nobody's listening to commentary for Conan, folks, go back and listen to the commentary with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's one of the best ones ever.
That 4K is on my list, so.
Ever.
Your written list.
Yes, absolutely.
The want list.
The want list.
Want list. I don't even do that anymore. I can't. Like,
I want too many things.
Yeah, dude, if it starts to go too deep, I'm like, oh, I crumbled up, throw it out. I'm like, I can't do that. Because that would be a nightmare if I could never, like 6 months go by, I could even check off one. Oh. And then you check off one, and then you don't even get a chance to watch it. It just sits there because you're moving on to other things.
I have some Amazon want lists, 4K or Blu-ray, and then I just kind of peruse it to see if anything goes on sale is what I usually do.
Oh, shift to the cart.
If I see the red...
That is a good idea.
Discount or whatever, then I'll be like, oh, maybe I should act on that. Maybe now's the time to act, but it's usually stuff I could hold off on, but at least I keep an eye on, or things that are coming out in the future where I can remember, like, oh, I forgot that's coming out.
Yeah, that's smart. That's actually a smart way to do it. I want to take something over from Jim where he said you're actually buying time because as much as I'm on that movie list with you guys, it's not as bad as my books. So I have this series of books that's right here. You can't really see them up close. They're just regular novels that were back in the heyday of Dungeons and Dragons. They're fantasy novels, but I bought those and they went right into packages. They went right into like the cellophane to keep them pristine and never even cracked them. So like, that's terrible, So not only have I not found the time to do that, and then I got like, this is the Man, the Iron Mask. It's a nice pressing of it. Okay.
Yeah,
and
nice.
This one was found brand new. This is Ivanhoe.
Oh, nice.
From like Long Meadow Press or something like that. The Franklin Library from back in the 70s. So I didn't even crack the spine. You know what I mean? Like I probably wouldn't even do that. I feel like it's a disservice if I actually crack that to try and read that. Yeah, that's just, I can't even bring myself to do that. So, and that's me with books. So I'll end up buying what would we call that? A reader's copy, I guess. If I want to read it. So, yeah, so I have a copy. I have like a really paperback, flimsy copy of Ivanhoe over there, but I'm not going to read this guy. So, and that's weird because that's the collector in me, and that's a waste of money. But yeah, I just can't help it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, I do that too, and we should definitely nail down that topic because that's the tough one. Is are we going to actually get use out of some of the things we collect or enjoyment out of?
Right. Well, Jim says
the rough part of it.
Yeah, it's the timing thing that's rough. Like we talked about on our last one, we talked about a game too. We talked about games. I got 2 games over here. They're still in their cellophane, but they're not so much as collectibles as I just haven't found the time. I mean, living in another state, I can't get together with you guys all the time and stuff like that. My family is growing and out the house now, so I don't find the time for a board game anymore because I don't have 10, 12 people over here that can enjoy that, especially around times of the holidays and stuff. Yeah, Plus, if you get somebody with holiday, like, yeah, man, let's play the thing. Everybody looks at you like, what?
Yeah.
Don't you have Monopoly or something?
You have to read the room, right?
Yeah. Well, the best use of a board game I ever got out of was probably Thanksgiving, either last year or the year before. My daughter invited us over to her house, and we played Alien. And there was like 6, 7 of us, so it was fantastic to have that many people play that game. That was so much fun. But you got 3 people, you're like,
I played it with my wife, and it was fun, but I could see how it'd be a lot more fun when you had a team or something.
Right. Well, it's not spoilery, but you start the game kind of knowing some stuff that you shouldn't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
right. You go
that
into
game
it.
you kind of go into it where you're like, okay, and how do we do this, and where could that intense moment come from? The thing that made it cool for us with that game is that we found a countdown from the movie. So when we got to the point where we had the countdown, we played it on our phone. It kept it going, so it made the intense excitement that much better for us.
Yeah, I had the soundtrack going.
Yeah, see, so why wouldn't you do that? That's awesome. But they'll sit on the shelf until I could get the group together, and then I have 10, I guess you call them movie games based on movies.
Movie themes,
and so the tough part about that, part 2, is, well, what's everybody going to want to play? Does everybody want to play Alien at Christmas time, or do we want to play Die Hard? You know what I mean? So, which is interesting because you either get to be like, one person gets to be John McClane, and all the other players are the terrorists.
Oh, that's fun.
That's fun. But I haven't played it yet, so I'm like, okay.
What are some solutions, I guess, we can talk about? I mean, we've mentioned before, and I think I've mentioned it, about curating your collection, where you can kind of weed out, like, am I ever going to watch this copy of such and such, and maybe I haven't watched it in 2 years, and maybe it's just really not going to happen again, so maybe I'll put that in the bin for either donation or resale back to the disc replay or whatever. That's probably the first thing to kind of like get your mindset, like, because I got my shelf, and it's a big shelf, but I'm trying to contain myself, like, that's the only shelf I'm going to buy. And I'm not going to get another one, because then I'll just be loading that one up. So I'm going to keep it at one shelf, and then when that maxes out, I got to like start plucking out stuff.
At one time, Bob actually showed his stuff in the background. He has an immense wall. I know it's not as big as some people I've seen, online, but yours is pretty big, dude.
It's about a 700 count, but it's just one shelf, unit from a Best Buy, one of those
That's
black
just
ones.
The movies, not the albums.
Yeah, and then I got another IKEA thing of records. That's one of those 12 cubby things that are
12, folks.
Yeah, 12 cubbies.
What's it hold, about 50 albums in a cubby? Maybe,
probably. Yeah. So
yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah,
but maybe movies are like music, when you pull an album out when you're in the mood. You just don't randomly.
Yeah, well, the movies I broke mine down years ago, where I decided to skip collecting. I got rid of everything, and I just went. And everybody knows, anybody on the channel here, is the steel books. So that's it. Like, I'm very rarely will I pick up a movie that's just released. It's either got to be in that I'm keeping it forever format, or we've talked about Kino Lorber and Vinegar Syndrome, and or the Zavi ones, things like that. So it's got to be really something like that if I'm going to get just a 4K release on it. I'm not that big a collector. I'm more of a niche collector, because I'd rather, folks, I know, like, we talk about media a lot on here and stuff, but I'd rather really have the time to read one of my books instead of always trying to watch a movie. I'm guilty because I'm a streamer, so I'll stream something unless I got a special one like the one that we were talking about right before we came on air. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
do we want to
Yeah,
talk
that's
about that?
that's a first day watch for me. Like that's
Just
gonna
real
be
quick,
so.
and one of those things that
It'll help spur this topic, I guess.
it did help spur
Yeah,
this
it did.
topic. So Vinegar Syndrome is releasing Michael Mann's The Keep from 1983, I think.
Yeah, something. Yeah, it's super early.
So, which is difficult to find. I mean,
It's
you
not
can go on
impossible. Yeah,
to
it's gonna be
purchase.
bootleg. Yeah.
Yeah, unless you're running around eBay. Prior to this release, I almost pulled the trigger. There's someone out there that has
Right.
a.
Damn, good job, dude. 1983, you hit it right on the head.
For me, this was a buy because it's a movie I don't have, and then it's on 4K. So now I want to utilize my new 4K setup.
Of course.
So
And
that-
Vinegar
that-
Syndrome does a really good job, which is also a selling point. I thought was like,
They do an
pretty,
excellent
you know,
job.
I'm feeling confident that it's going to be a good release.
Right. And at this point in its existence, I mean, it wasn't a success. It was a flop of a film, and for multiple reasons that we'll someday go into. But it's never gonna. I don't think it's ever gonna get a better release.
That's
So-
the key too, folks. Targeting these that I guess if you got to really think about it, is it going to get a better release? Is it going to get any other release? Will it, now that somebody's released it, will another company get the rights and release it on just a standard Blu-ray finally or something like that? Those all go into the collecting / casual person that just wants to own these kind of things, and then you get a rarity like that everybody, as much as and let's be honest, folks, there's a lot of people that can't stand the movie, but it has such a huge cult following that any version that came out, if they just released it on Blu-ray, I would have grabbed it. You know?
Exactly.
Especially if you're a completionist, because I think that was the only Michael Mann movie not released.
It's the one he disowned. So
yeah.
And let's do a shameless plug that we did do a director spotlight of Michael Mann, and we touched on The Keep. So if you'd like, go back in our back catalog on our Fandom Outpost channel and look up the director spotlight playlist from Michael
I can
Mann.
foresee us.
I love you, Bob. It was
I can
awesome.
foresee us giving this once it's out and we all get to watch it again. It'll get
Yeah.
some from us. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll definitely touch
ret-
on that one because it's
like a
like Mark says,
retrospective
it's a
or
rare
something.
one. It's kind of in that void.
It's
And
like Ian McKellen
that
before he was
void,
Ian
yeah.
McKellen.
It's a lot of people. Gabriel Byrne was in that thing before.
Oh, yeah,
Gabriel
yeah.
Byrne,
Scott Glenn.
Scott Glenn before he was really Scott Glenn. Although if you had to pick somebody who was actually the star of the movie, I guess it's got to be Scott Glenn. But what's he doing even back in 1983?
Right around
So,
the right stuff, right? Wasn't he?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
probably
around
right
that time.
there.
Yeah,
He's kind of slowly
so.
making his.
Well, I don't remember it in the theaters. I'm pretty sure that I don't remember it. I mean, I caught it on cable for years. That's where I
Yeah,
had
it
to
was-
watch it.
Yeah,
So-
back in the On and It TV days, it was on cable.
I may have caught it, but I don't know. It's probably in that cable wasteland of late night.
Yeah. It's on at 2 a.m. on
Yeah,
It
yeah, that's the
It
thing.
TV. HBO is
It's
showing it.
on HBO.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's true.
So you guys got any other ideas for not letting your
Well,
stack of media
I certainly
grow and grow?
like your curation aspect of that, and that is something as we grow older is definitely on my mind, so that my family isn't left curating everything to the dump. So
Well,
Or
as a
Goodwill.
good friend once said, whose name is Jim, he was like, "What's the point of having any of this if you can't display it?" So, like, if you can't walk into your living room or basement or wherever it's at and look at it and enjoy what you've collected, it's the only word that comes to mind over the years, then what's the point of it? If you're going to buy something and you're going to stick it in a bin, I guess in the back of your head, it's nice knowing that you have it, but what's the real point of it? You just bought something because you wanted it and you stuffed it somewhere in the darkness that nobody's going to see it anymore.
I have
So-
a few setups. Like I still have some Jaws stuff I'd like to display, the Alien stuff, and I keep telling myself because I have like the Universal monster kind of setup right now, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'd like to eventually swap it out and then just kind of change it, put the monsters away and bring out this and then display that for
Right.
6 months or whatever. And then just kind of do a swap out.
Yeah, rotate your rotating.
Yeah, there you go. As I say, rotating and collect. Bob is really good at the rotating thing. I'm not. I'm stagnant. Well, that's a bad word, but I'm stationary. You know, I'll find a shelf for those NECA Universal Monsters, and that's it. I'm done. Like, but I also, I guess, just briefly, like a couple years ago, I was like, I got to be done. You know, and like he said, shameless plug. You know, go back to look at my unboxing of my Outlaw Josie Wales figure. Like, that pretty much stopped me from collecting right there. I was like, I get a few niche things that really mean a lot to me. Clint Eastwood, it really means a lot to me. So I'm going to get those, but I still wander into places that sell all kinds of nifty collectibles, and sometimes maybe topic for another day, but well, you got to have an iron will sometimes if you find that diamond in the rough to walk away from. I mean, we did that toy show a couple months ago, and it just made me realize, I was like, why do I have tubs full of stuff? You know, who just said who's curating that when we're gone? You know,
Right.
Bob,
Yeah.
did you just say that or
No,
yeah?
I did. It was
Jim.
my
Like,
daughter and
who's-
wife will care not about any of this. So
No, and it'll go right back into sale again. So
Right.
might as well do it ourselves and then hit that focus.
and I can't blame them. This is not their interest. So, but
No.
so other than the curation, I think it's going to be curation and dedication. Dedicate that time. And the theme of this holiday, I'm going to be thankful that I have 20 unopened movies that I should be watching. Right. I am thankful now that I have some extra time to spend and watch these.
Bob's got it the worst. Like, Bob is really in the zeitgeist of this is coming out. You know, he always tells us sometimes, you know, this is what this is, stuff like that. So
Oh, finger on the pulse for sure.
yeah, and I like that. I'm like, okay, I only have to have willpower against the picture or the text that my friend sent me. You know, I belong to a few sites where I'm like, yeah, but there's a lot of times their picture, I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna click on it because I know that I'm afraid that something's coming, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to do that this time around and stuff. So
I also take a look at things like movies that come out, and I kind of start categorizing them in my head. Like, how do I want to collect that? If I really like there were some good horror movies, Strange Darling, Cuckoo, The Substance, and I'm like, do I really want a 4K or this one, or do I just want a Blu-ray, or do I just want to buy it digital? So I'm already trying to prioritize in my head. Like, I know The Substance, I think I want that on 4K because I thought that was a really cool movie, and the way it looked, the way it was put together. But like, I enjoyed Cuckoo and I enjoyed Strange Darling, and it's like, I don't know if I need to see them in 4K. So maybe one of them I can just get a digital and wait for a sale on Vudu or Fandango or whatever it's called now. So
well, I
can't
get,
prioritize too, you know.
and I guess the bottom line is really got to be, what is the what's the word I'm looking for? What is the rewatchability of the item you're about to invest in? And that,
Sure.
I guess that applies to everything. You know, what's the enjoyment that you'll get seeing that on the shelf every day or listening to that album? You know, so that's what it comes down to, I think. You know,
You kind of have to weigh the options, and then like you said, how much space you have and how often you're going to watch it. So there's variables, and I don't know how many other people out there. I'd love to hear in our comments who deal with this kind of stuff, or maybe no one does. I don't know.
Give us your
We've come
solutions.
across quite a few YouTubers that have kind of hit a wall and with collecting, and it's like, I think it's just that time. It's probably been about 4 or 5 years since the COVID and everything, and everyone's kind of cooped up, and that's how I got started with my home theater. Was I wanted to make it something I can enjoy at home, and now you're kind of coming back out into life before COVID. You've amassed all this stuff, so it's like you got to start prioritizing, I guess.
In collecting, what all this is, what all these books are, and these films and these toys, these are really shrines to not only our interests but our childhood. So
yeah.
I'm making a museum. I'm surrounded by a museum of my childhood and my childhood interests and influences
Yeah.
in the model kit community. And I'm so thankful that I don't collect military or car models because those guys have it really bad.
Wow.
But they call it the stash.
Stash.
This is my stash,
This is
so
my
that they can
stash.
dip into. And the problem is with the stash, kind of like a DVD moving up to a 4K, is that, I bought this plane and I'm going to build it, but wait a minute, another company put a better version of this plane out 3 years later, so I'm going to buy that plane.
That's Bob in movies right there.
Right?
Yeah, that's what's going to happen with a lot of these 4Ks is you're going to get like the Terminator 2 gets kind of ragged on with how bad it looked, and eventually it'll get a reissue, and then you'll be like, oh shit, should I buy the new one? And because it's better than the last one. And so I think that they're going to come around eventually and start, a new steelbook art for this one. And
Right.
Everything old will be new again. It's those are all properties that all these companies own. So it's an evergreen thing for them to just keep re-releasing them all the time,
I'm telling you right now, I'm stopping at 4K. There is 8K out in the horizon.
8K?
No,
Yeah.
that's it. My eyesight's not even that good.
Right. The next step is I'm either going to have to wear like a VR thing that puts me in the film or behind the camera as they're making the film. Really, all the extras are what kind of gets me into any of this.
Absolutely.
Only because I have an interest in how things are made in that industry and whatnot.
Right.
And I'm interested in hearing the commentaries. And that's not a thing for current fans. They could care less about my daughter. I don't think my daughter's ever listened to a commentary on anything.
I think that's the standard consumer, I guess you'd say. But then you get into the cinephiles and all that, and
Right.
Yeah, but
right.
it's just so
Right.
sad. That's why we have what we have because of that. And I know you guys have talked about this, is that the dying generation, because people behind us, if they're not going to care about that, maybe that's why physical media is the way it is right now, because times are a changing, as Bob Dylan said. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
if that goes that way, then we're not going to be around for all that. You're talking a generational shift.
I'm starting to feel that though lately. With am I on the island of physical media? It's like I just feel like I'm getting just more isolated by not seeing stuff in Target and not seeing stuff in Best Buy anymore.
Right.
And you're just like, you just feel like you're just this isolated physical media collector. And it's like, I don't know if we solved the solution to solve the problem, but
I'd love to hear what people have to say
yeah,
about this.
I'd love to hear other opinions on how to avoid the pit of doom of physical media piling up around you. Please join us next time on the Phantom Outpost, and if you could, please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video, and check us out on social media on Instagram, the Phantom Outpost, and Facebook, where we can talk to you about what's happening in movies and TV and books and all the stuff that's piling up around you. So hopefully you got something out of this one, and we got something off our chest at least. So I guess with that, we'll say see you next time on the Phantom Outpost. I'm Bob.
I'm Jim.
I'm Mark, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays. We'll see you soon.
See you guys.